Yeah, I will be very brief because we are looking forward to the next section. Uh, when Balu presented his description of Varna, what system or whatever it may be, Varnas, I found that's the most adequate description which so far we have today. Because in earlier descriptions we had several problems and questions. To begin with, Varnas were taken to be fourfold rigid divisions and intermixture of which would destroy the society. So the Indians believed it, and that happened through intermixture of male and female of different Varnas. So this was a very crude understanding. Later on, this particular understanding was questioned, and there are several debates and discussions in sociology about what is the and Varna taken to be caste. So when they refer to caste system, actually fourfold caste system, that is Varna. And when they try to understand Indian social category as system, again Varna is at the root of that particular concept, which we know through these researchers. And but recently, maybe last 50 or more years, this problem was highlighted that the Varna is different from caste, and what is caste and what is Varna, how caste is related to Varna, then again how Varnas were they became corrupted, and then caste system emerged. Such theories were produced. So, and several other discussions were also there. But the description Balu provided today, it accounts for the occurrence of Varna also. We cannot deny that there is no mention to Varna and four Varnas. But what are Varnas if they are not Jatis or the modern caste? So I think this is a very, that's why in my opinion, is most adequate description, because he says that this is not, we should not understand in the level of individuals. This is like a class. Second thing, Purushartha is a goal of Varnas, not Purushartha is not goal of an individual, which I require little time to understand. But so far as Varna is concerned, we have to look at it as the science of ancient Indians on society or ancient Indian sociology, where I personally had many problems with comprehending this Varna, which were solved. For example, when they are talking about Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, Manu Smriti also says that those all are born as Shudras, and only with Sanskara they become Dvijas. Which in particularly in case of Brahmanas, or maybe it is a case of Vaishya, Kshatriyas also, ladies are not Brahmanas, women, because they are not initiated. Till today, Jati Brahmana, adre they are not Varna, it's not Brahmana. How can it be possible in the same this thing? Only male have been initiated and ladies are not initiated. And second thing, throughout historical period, the Varnas have nothing to do with Jati, because especially in Kshatriya, case of Kshatriya Varna, we have several examples. Those who are from different Jatis, they become Kshatriyas. And Brahmanas also, many of them non-Brahmana Jatis, they become Brahmanas. So this is our scholars have tried to understand it as social mobility in ancient India, but they think that there are rigid classes, castes, and then individuals or groups moving from one group to another group. But Balu's description accounts for this also. Don't look like at it like this. So it is a kind of a goal, with a goal a particular class called who seek knowledge or who seek power or who what wealth, etc. So this accounts for that also. We need not I think try to explain it as a social mobility. Instead of that, we can understand Indian society whatever we read in our literature, and we are struggling to understand how is it possible if there were fourfold divisions or if it was so rigid. But in the from this description of Varna, it's perfectly we can explain it. So there are several such problems. I think this is potential to answer all those problem. That's what I feel. So this begins or this marks a particular stage in our research on caste system. I feel. So really, I congratulate Balu for this.
ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ವರ್ಣಗಳ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವರ್ಣ ಜಾತಿ ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲೂ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಿಂದೆ ವರ್ಣ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ವರ್ಣ ಈಗ ಜಾತಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಜಾತಿ ವರ್ಣದಿಂದ ಜಾತಿ ಹುಡ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿವರಣೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾತಿಗಳನ್ನ ಇವು ಶೂದ್ರ ಜಾತಿಗಳು, ಇವು ಕ್ಷತ್ರಿಯ ಜಾತಿಗಳು, ಇವು ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣ ಜಾತಿಗಳು ಅಂತಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎರಡಕ್ಕೂ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇದೇ ಬೇರೆ, ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ನೇ ಬೇರೆ, ಜಾತಿಯಾಗಿ ಜನ ಬದುಕ್ತಾ ಇರೋದೇ ಬೇರೆ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಇವ್ರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆನೇ ಅದು. ಜನ ಹೇಗೆ ಬದುಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಈ ಜಾತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಜಾತಿಯಿಂದ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ, ಜಾತಿಯಿಂದ ವರ್ಣ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ವರ್ಣ ಜಾತಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣ ಜಾತಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ತಪ್ಪಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಈಗ ಹಿಂದೆ ಆಗಿರೋ ಈ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ವಿವರಣೆಗಳು ಬರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಸಮಾಜದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ.
ಹೌದು, ಅಬ್ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್, ಅಬ್ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದ 2 ವರ್ಷದ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ನಮಗೆ
Of course, I can elaborate on it for another 2-3 hours, but I won't. So just to give you an idea of what Varna Sankara, how you can start thinking about it. But one thing you must remember, I'm not, see when I, no, one thing you must remember, which is this. So I'm calling these things knowledge. And I told you I'm not a nationalist of any kind. So by that does not mean that I think that everything Indians have written or everything Manu has written is unchallenged knowledge. I'm not saying that, because there is no such thing as unchallenged knowledge. Just remember that. Everything, knowledge is growing all the time. So what was knowledge 2,500 years ago is false today. Keep that also in mind. Which means Vedas and Upanishads, there will be a lot of false hypotheses in them also. Just because Veda says it, just because Upanishad says it, it is a hypothesis at a certain stage. But today we can develop a better hypothesis. That means that story is false. So your attitude to India should not be one of, oh, they said it in Veda, therefore it is true. Rubbish. That is an attitude only of Jews, Christians and Muslims about the Bible, the Quran and Talmud. That can never be false. But Veda is not like that. Veda is knowledge, which means it's a growing hypothesis. At a certain stage of development, the hypothesis came, and today if you find they are false, we reject them, develop a new one. That's the attitude I'm representing. Don't think I'm sitting here defending Manu. I'm not. I just took that one shloka and told you what it's about. Alright? In other words, if you look at it as knowledge, and that's what I'm saying you should do, you simply get what is best from the past. That's all. You are not compelled in any sense of the term to keep defending the past. Galileo was necessary, but Galileo is not God. Today even Einstein is not God anymore. So, science and knowledge evolves, changes, grows. Anything that does not grow cannot be knowledge. Only theology, which is the revelation of God, does not grow, change, and so on. Now this means one important thing before I go, I want to talk about something slightly different. How shall I introduce? Okay. Now look at this strange thing. Let's take the three great acharyas. Shankara, Madhva and Ramanuja. They wrote their tracts, their bhashyas on the Gita. There are many things, but these three, Prasthanatrayas, they are called, like on Upanishads, on Gita and Brahma Sutra. They disagree with each other violently, completely. Of course, Shankara could not disagree with others because he was dead by then. Poor fellow. But even then, I think he would have done the same thing other people did, which is, here is something very, very interesting. Madhva and Ramanuja do not say that Shankara did not understand Upanishads and the Vedas. They didn't say that, did they? They did not say Shankara is giving a false interpretation, did they? They did. In fact, even to this day, the most fanatic Madhva, however angry he might be with Advaitin, he won't say, your Acharya, Shankaracharya was bullshitting, he was a liar, he was false. They don't say that. This is not only of India, this is the same. Vallabhacharya also, we say same thing. Even people like Tulsidas and so, they use Tulsidas Ramayana, Kamba Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana. Actually in the south, every Ramayana is okay, but I prefer Valmiki Ramayana. Some people like Kamba Ramayana, some people like Tulsi Ramayana, fine. There are no problems with it, do we? There is something even more amazing than just this. Look at Buddha. I don't know how many Buddhist schools and Buddhist traditions are there. Let's say 150. I'm sure there are more, but let's say 150. Not one of them says of the other that they have misunderstood Buddha or they are interpreting Buddha falsely. They don't say that. Yeah? So they disagree with each other, disagree violently with each other. They're contradictory to each other. Still, not one of them says the other has not understood, other is wrong, other is false. They don't say that. That's a very typical attitude in India. Consider, for example, the Talmud, the Torah, which was written or oral, depends what you think, but it's much less. Say Quran and Bible. Protestants say of the Catholics that they are devil's worshippers. They are not Christians at all. According to Protestants, Catholics are devil worshippers. They are not Christians. Protestants, according to Catholics, are heretics. That is, they're completely false, completely wrong, misunderstood the Bible. All Christians said Jews don't understand the Bible at all. They misunderstood completely. Same thing in Quran. In other words, if you look at the Semitic traditions, the only thing they say is, I am right, you are wrong. The truth is with me, falsehood is with you. Indians say, don't say that. What is interesting about this? Don't say pluralism is our DNA. That's rubbish. Why do we not say that they have not understood, they have completely falsely misunderstood Upanishad, Gita, and so on and so forth? Why don't we say that? It's so deep that even Buddhists, which came from us, don't say that. And they're so different from each other. One of the reasons is this. It has to do with, and I'm saying this because I am fed up meeting these literature students in India. Because all they can talk about is interpretation. Interpreting Vedas, interpreting Upanishads, interpreting Gita. You see, the problem is this. In the Western intellectual tradition, more than 2000 years old, the following statement, the following idea exists, which is that there is a message, there is a sentence, and the sentence has a message. Understanding the message is to understand the meaning of the sentence. And there is only one message, which is true, which is what the author wanted to say. So the meaning of a sentence is what the author of the sentence wanted to say. You understand what the author wanted to say, you know the true meaning, and you are the truth. Anything else is false. This is the idea of meaning they have for more than 2000 years. With respect to God's book, it becomes more important. With the Bible and the Quran and so on, because it's God speaking. In the case of Quran, it is, I'm not very sure what exactly happened. Some angel came and spoke in Muhammad's ears apparently. And there also the same problem occurs. Did Muhammad actually say everything in classic Urdu what the angel said or not? Same way, God's word, was it written down by Moses when God dictated it? What exactly do the passages say? What does God want us to understand? And there's only one meaning possible. Anything else is false. Therefore, there is only one meaning, one truth. So don't jump from that conclusion, there are many truths. There's only one truth. There are no 500,000 truths, okay? Truth is truth. Only one. Anyway, that's not the issue. So, because I heard a lot of Indians saying that. No, we Indians, we ekam sat bahuda vipraha bahuda vadanti. That means there's lots of truth. That's rubbish, okay? You fail in first year bachelor's if you do that. If I'm your teacher, you'll fail for 25 years. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti means 100 truths. You will not pass for next 20 years. So don't come to me to the exams with me on that. Truth, there's only one. There are no 500,000 truths. There is no relative truths. There's only one truth, absolute truth. Indians knew that, of course. Old Indians, not you. Indians knew that. Now, anyway, this idea is one truth, which you also have. One meaning, everything else is false. Extraordinarily enough. So, what does it mean to understand? Did you understand the text? Is, to answer the question, did you get the true meaning? You also speak that way, so I'm telling you this. If Indians thought understanding was to get the true meaning, then Buddhists would not speak that way. Our acharyas would be telling each other that they are devil worshippers and so on, which they did not, which they do not. And the best is, let's go to the Buddhists. 150 different interpretations of Buddha, and they're all Buddhists. You, if you're honest, intuitively you can't accept it. Because in India, understanding means, and here's a strange thing, one language which is most interested in meaning, which is very strict about meaning, is India and Sanskrit. The amount of emphasis we place on padartha in artha is extraordinary in Sanskrit. Only language that I know which is that. But in that language, in that tradition, in that culture, understanding a word or a sentence is different from understanding a text. understanding a teaching. Because to us, that is, what do you do with it? That is to understand. To understand is to be able to do with it. If Buddha teaches you to become happy, you use it to make people happy, you have understood Buddha, period. There is no true understanding of Buddhism at all. There is in Christianity, there is in Judaism, there is in Islam. Not in the Indian traditions, because to us understanding means, are you able to do something with it? So, if you are able to do something with Upanishads and get knowledge, it does not matter whether you are Shankara, whether you are Madhva, whether you are Ramanuja. It does not matter. You are all doing something with it. Literature and so on. Why? Because they teach you this story about meaning which they have got from Bible, Quran and Torah. This is what you learn. Meaning is hidden in the sentence. Sentence contains meaning. Meaning is the message. Message is the intention of the author. This is dumb. So therefore postmodernism arose. They said, you know what? There is no meaning at all. There is no original text. Everything is an interpretation. And that's the next thing you people are saying. So your question with me with the Gita is, what that depends on your interpretation of Gita. I keep on telling them, people, Gita is not a literary text to give interpretations, it's knowledge. Nobody understands that. Every Sanskrit teacher I've had to, every debates I've had, Hoya, Professor Balu, it is your interpretation of Gita. I have no interpretation of Gita. Did I interpret Manu now? I did not. No, you see, Shankara's interpretation of Gita is different from... Sorry, they did not interpret Gita. What does Veda mean? How many times have I not heard that question? This is all you're bringing from the Middle East. The Jews and the Christians and the Muslims came from there, no. But let me assure you, I am not anti-Semitic religions. It's very possible that God came to earth only in the Arabian desert. Possible. In fact, I have a hypothesis. I don't think God ever came to India. Do you know why? Because our curries are too hot. I think somebody went and told God, don't go there, so they did not come. So, I'm absolutely willing to believe God came to Arabian desert and told these people all these things. Right? Maybe God did tell them the truth. Why should I think God lies? I mean, God is supposed to be truth, no? For their God anyway. Our God lies constantly. Just think of Krishna. Oh my God, I don't know a bigger liar than Krishna. Right? So that's how God's so fine. So their God does not lie. Okay. But in India, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Because we eat hot curries. We don't believe in this idea of understanding means the truth there. No. That does not mean we're willing to accept. And that is why I said, Ekam Sat is not the case. Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti, that does not apply here. Does not mean that every interpretation goes. That's not India at all. That's why I keep on saying, this is knowledge, this is science. Not everything works. No, I'm sorry. Not everything is science. I'm sorry, not everything is knowledge. No, there are absolute strict conditions for something to become knowledge. So, we will not accept anything, any Tom, Dick and Harry coming and bullshitting. Because Ekam Satya Prahabohudavada, if you take it, that means anything goes. No. Everything is true. This is not India, people. Nothing to do with India. So knowledge is very strict. Not everything is knowledge. And that's Veda, that's Upanishad. Those are the things I'm talking about. It's not a question of meaning and saying one truth and so on and so forth. Because in India, the last difference, we go for Jnana Arjuna. Satya is subordinated to Jnana. Remember that. In Europe, there is no Jnana, there is only truth. But to us, not every truth is Jnana. For example, I weigh, 81 kilos. That's truth. You think it's Jnana? Well, think of a telephone book. Each sentence there is true, isn't it? Is telephone book knowledge to us? Satyanveshane. I am doing Satyanveshane. Okay, so you go to university, they teach you Jnana, they'll teach you how to compile a telephone book. Are you satisfied? Because to your truth is subordinated to knowledge. Not in Europe, not in America. Truth is the important thing. To us, truth is not. Knowledge is true. Knowledge cannot be false. But not all truth is knowledge. Not everything is knowledge. Not every true statement is knowledge. So we don't seek truth. ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಸತ್ಯಾನ್ವೇಷಣೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬುರುಡೆ ಅದು. ಸತ್ಯಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಯಾರು ಹೋಗ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೊರಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. And that's why it's very interesting. We have all kinds of gods and goddesses. Let me use that word. Truth does not have a god or a goddess. Maximally, that's Yama. Approximately, it's even Chitragupta. But knowledge has Saraswati. There is no goddess of truth, but there is a goddess of knowledge. In India. To them, God is the truth. Who? Semitic religions. Not God is not knowledge, God is the truth. Why is this important? It's because of this. Their God is outside the world, outside space, time, outside the cosmos. Andre, he is not in Jagat, he is not in Vishwa, he is not in Prapancha. That's God, their God. Whereas, this is something extraordinarily important about India. The only thing that is there in this world is the world. Outside the world there is nothing. There is only the Iha, there is only the Vishwa, there is only the Jagat. There is only the Apara. This is all we have. Which means what? Because I am not connecting to because yesterday somebody wrote me something about Atman. I'm answering him partially. Today I'll answer a little bit more. Anything we seek, our Atma, our Brahma, whatever we seek, they must all be accessible in this Jagat, in this Iha, in this Apara, in this Vishwa. Not outside, not possible. Their God is outside the world, ours is not. So if there is Atma, he must be here. Here. If there is Brahma, he must be here. Not simply be here, must be accessible. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. Because there's nothing outside this world. Nothing at all. So when we therefore talk about whether it's knowledge, whether it's Atma, whether it's Brahma, whatever, Ganesha, whatever, either they are accessible in this world or they don't exist. This is absolute condition in Indian society, in Indian culture. So to speak of mystical world, mysterious world, supernatural world, this is coming from Europe and the Middle East. Not in India. Esoteric knowledge doesn't exist. Knowledge is knowledge, period. It's about the world. There's no esoteric knowledge. There's no spiritual knowledge. Nothing. It doesn't exist. This is a language of Semitic religions, not ours. They need that because they have to talk about God outside the world. No. So they need esoteric knowledge, mysterious knowledge, supernatural knowledge. Indians don't have it. We don't know what it means. Everything is natural to us. There's no such thing as supernatural. Supernatural is their God. Super nature, beyond nature, their God. Even poor Krishna was born and killed on earth. Poor fellow. He didn't have any supernatural abilities. He was born here and he died here. That's a good thing too. If you're born, you must die. Applies to Rama, applies to Krishna, applies to everybody. That's why Ganesha is never born in earth. This is India. This is our culture. A very strict condition. Therefore, and because we're now going to the text in Atma, when we talk about these things, don't tell the nonsense they have taught you. Their soul is invisible. Their soul is inside the body. Their soul is with God. Their soul comes to you when you are pregnant, penetrates the womb. That's their story. That's not our story. But we believe it. To such an extent, the Brahmin Purohits, in Shraddha time, come and do Shraddha and they say, Nimma Tayiyavara Atmakke Shanti Korutteve. It's basically, I request for the peace of the soul of the deceased. Yes, my God, that is Christian, I say. Atma is not individual. I'm Appanatma, I'm Majjanatma, I'm Majjiyatma. Who the hell talks that way? Every Brahmin Purohit talks that way today. Our Atmakke Chirashantiyanu korutteve. Huh? Atman hai. Namma Jiyatma hai terike. Well, whatever that is not the Atma of Upanishad and Gita. That is not the Atma we are seeking. Shraddhadalli ಬಂದು ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ಆತ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಶಾಂತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಯ್ತು ಶ್ರಾದ್ದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಏನು ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಅಳ್ಳ ನಗ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಶ್ರಾದ್ದ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ನಾನು. ಆ ಕಷ್ಟಾದಿ ಬೆಲ್ಜಿಯಂ ಶ್ರಾದ್ದ ಮಾಡೋದು. Anyway. So this is what has happened to us. And therefore we think Atma is invisible, it is hidden inside the body. We don't know what soul is. Yeah? We don't know Christianity. Right? We don't know English also. Let me tell you that very honestly. You think you know English, you don't. You really don't know. You don't understand a single word of English. And people are shocked when I prove it to them, but I won't prove it to you now. But we don't understand English. Alright? So, now why I'm telling you, so this Atman, don't think it is some mysterious entity. It cannot be. And the text will show you it's not. It's not hidden. It must be accessible. It must be in this world. These are the conditions. It cannot be outside this world. It cannot be outside the cosmos. Nothing exists there. Even Buddha has to say Shunyata exists here. Shunyata doesn't exist outside the world. So, when we talk about these things, they are in this world. Not only are they in this world, they are accessible. Accessible to whom? And we'll discover something very strange. I suggest you go to the text now. Let's go to this very, very briefly. Just read it for yourself. I won't read it out. Prajapati Indra. And stop after. Not Brihadaranyaka, to Chandogya. Stop after Virochana is satisfied and goes home. Okay? And there is only one reason we are reading this text. Not to know what Atman is and so on. But what kind of an entity it could possibly be. Why is it important? Because what you are taught until now is rubbish, false. If this text is true, what they are saying is nonsense. So you will have to come to one conclusion. Either you defend your acharyas, you are allowed. After all, they're great people, right? Then you must say the following: Prajapati is lying. Or Prajapati is not lying, he is telling the truth. Then unfortunately, your three acharyas, not just them, all of them, last 700,000 years, all translations are completely wrong. This is a challenge you're going to face. You'll have to answer the question. It's very simple, and this is the beauty of it. You will understand the text. There's no interpretation involved. They're purely logic, and you will see. All right? Good. I suggest you read till Virochana gets satisfied and goes home.
The self which is free from evil, undecaying, undying, free from sorrow, free from hunger, and without thirst, with true desires, true volition, that is what is to be sought after, which one must wish to understand. One who has sought after this self and understands it obtains all worlds and all desires. So said Prajapati. Yava atmano paparahitano muppilladavano mrityurahitano shokarahitano ಹಸಿವಿಲ್ಲದವನೋ ಬಾಯಾರಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲದವನೋ ಸತ್ಯಕಾಮನೋ ಸತ್ಯಸಂಕಲ್ಪನೋ ಆಗಿರುವನೋ ಅವನನ್ನೇ ಅನ್ವೇಷಿಸಬೇಕು, ಅವನನ್ನು ಅರಿತುಕೊಳ್ಳಲು ಬಯಸಬೇಕು. ಯಾವನು ಆ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿದು ಅರಿತುಕೊಳ್ಳುವನೋ ಅವನು ಸರ್ವಲೋಕಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಸರ್ವಕಾಮಗಳನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾನೆ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿ ಹೇಳಿದರು.
So the first thing, most important here, whatever these things are, free from hunger, etc., let's keep that aside. Look at the last part. Obtains all worlds and all desires. Andre ಏನು? If you want all worlds, that means all the wealth in the world. You want to satisfy all your desires, seek and find Atman. This is the first important thing. So who should want Atman? Who has basically limitless desires. And why? Because it will satisfy all your desires. First important thing. What do your teachers tell you, your gurus tell you today? They tell you the opposite. If you want Atman, you must give up your desires. ಹೌದಾ? ಆಸೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮನೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಗುಣಗಳಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಧನ ಚತುಷ್ಟಯ ಮಾಡಿ ತಪಸ್ಸು ಮಾಡಿ 20 ವರ್ಷ ಊಟ ಮಾಡದೆ ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆತ್ಮ ಸಿಗಬಹುದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ? ಕಾಸು ಬೇಕೇನೋ? ಆತ್ಮ ಕಣೋ. ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿ saying that. Isn't Atman desirable? It is. Of course, ಯಾರಿಗೆ? Those who want all the world. Suppose you say, ಬೇಡಪ್ಪ ನನಗದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ, ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಣು, ಒಂದು ಮನೆ, ಒಂದು ಕಾರು, 2 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಸಾಕು ನನಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಸರಿ ಬೇಡಪ್ಪ, ನಿನ್ಗೆ ಆತ್ಮ ಬೇಡ, ನೀನು ಆರಾಮಕ್ಕಿರು. Prajapati is telling you this. So, either you believe, ಈ ಸಾಧನ ಚತುಷ್ಟಯ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು amongst others? ಆಚಾರ್ಯರುಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾಧನ ಚತುಷ್ಟಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ, ಶಮ ದಮ ಕರುಣ ಏನೇನೋ ಇರಬೇಕಂತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಅದಿಲ್ದ್ರೆ ಸಿಗಲ್ವಂತೆ, ಆತ್ಮಬೋಧ ಆಗಲ್ವಂತೆ. ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಗಳು? ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕೇನೋ ಆತ್ಮ. It's amazing, isn't it? One of the two is lying, obviously, isn't it? Which one? It's up to you. I go for this because I have lots of desires. And I want them to be satisfied. Simply having desires is not enough, because you get frustrated, you go crazy, right? So if you don't want to go crazy, you have all the desires, you want all of them satisfied, Atma. That means go to Adhyatma. That's why people say go to Atma, you'll feel happy. Because when are you happy? When all your desires are satisfied, of course. And Indians say every human being should be happy. That's Adhyatma. That's Atma. This is not hedonism. Hedonism means simply chasing after all kinds of enjoyable things. No. Whatever you want is the first thing. You must decide whether you want to read further or not, because if you listen to 1,000 years of Indian tradition, Prajapati is lying. Make no mistake about it. You have to live a chaste, moral, ascetic life. You have to be old. ಏನು ಸಿಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಡಿ ವನವಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮನ ಶಾಂತಿ ಹುಡುಕೋತೀನಿ ಆ ಕಥೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಓದಬೇಡಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು. It is the first challenge. What you think is Indian tradition is not, Prajapati is not saying that. He is saying the opposite. What you think is Indian Adhyatma is not according to Prajapati at all. When you go to another text of Yajnavalkya, it's even worse actually. Prajapati is much better that way. Yajnavalkya is even worse. But this is Adhyatma. Search for Atman because you want to be, isn't it normal? Because you want to be happy. You seek Adhyatma. There's nothing wrong in being happy. Indians found that every creature wants to be happy. And they tried to find ways. So Prajapati in that sense is an Indian. If you do only one, Divsakvansali, 10 months or 10 years, you do upavasa and so on. And you only eat what? Like diabetic patients eat, no? It's hardly enjoyable. Food is not enjoyable. You are feeling miserable. It's a question of happiness. So if people say you have to become miserable in order to find happiness, that's what our acharyas tell us. You must become miserable. Deny everything. What do you want? I'm attracted to Prajapati because of that, because it's very humane. It's very human and very humane, both. And of course, all the people normally believe Prajapati. And let's now read the next one. We'll see that people did believe the Bhagavad. Yeah.
Both Devas and Asuras heard this. They said, well, we shall search for that self, by searching which all worlds and all desires are obtained. Indra from among the Devas and Virochana from among the Asuras went, and both, without communicating with each other, approached Prajapati with fuel in their hands.
Okay, confirm. So they believed him. No, Kannada.
ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯ ಮಾತನ್ನು ದೇವಾಸುರರಿಬ್ಬರು ಕೇಳಿದರು. ಸರಿ, ಯಾವ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕಿದರೆ ಸರ್ವಲೋಕಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಸರ್ವಕಾಮಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದುತ್ತಾನೆಯೋ ಆ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಅನ್ವೇಷಿಸೋಣ ಎಂದು ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಂಡರು. ದೇವತೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂದ್ರನೇ ಹೊರಟನು, ಅಸುರರಲ್ಲಿ ವಿರೋಚನನು ಹೊರಟನು. ಅವರು ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸದೆ ಸಮಿತ್ಪಾಣಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯ ಸಮೀಪಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರು.
You we shall search for that by searching which all worlds and all desires are satisfied. So in case you doubt that they believe Prajapati, that's why I said it's written for you people, really. To remove your doubts, they repeated it, which they basically said, basically we want to enjoy life, maximally. Now why do you need all the worlds? I don't know, but nevertheless they wanted all the worlds, not even 3 worlds, all the worlds. That's first important. Second, more important. Next passage ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. They have, ಇದಾದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಬರಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಬೇಕು ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಮಿಸ್ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್, ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ವಾಂಟ್. ನಮಗೆ ಆಸೆಗಳಿದೆ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಆಸೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ? ಇಹದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಇಹದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆಸೆ ಇದೆ, ಆಸೆ ತೀರಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಿನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಅವನೇನಾದರೂ ಶಂಕರನ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ರಾಮನ ಜನಾಗಿದೆ, ಈಗ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ನೀನು ನೋಡು ಸಾಧನೆ ನಿಷ್ಠೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನೀನು ಅದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಈ ಥರ ನೀನು ಕಾಮ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಮ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು. ಹೌದಾ? ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿ? ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಪ್ಪ? ಮುಂದೆ ಓದು.
Prajapati said to them, the person that is seen in the eye, that is the self that I spoke of. This is the immortal, fearless Brahman, sir. And he that is perceived in the mirror, which of these is that? He said, it is he that is perceived within all these. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ?
ಕನ್ನಡ ಓದಿ. ಏನು ಸ್ಕಿಪ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ವೇನಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದನು, ಕಣ್ಣಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಪುರುಷನು ಕಾಣಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾನೆಯೋ ಅವನೇ ಆತ್ಮನು, ಅದೇ ಅಮೃತವೂ ಅಭಯವೂ ಇದೇ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವು. ಅವರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನಿಸಿದರೆ, ಭಗವಂತನೇ, ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲೂ ಮತ್ತು ಕನ್ನಡಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕಂಡುಬರುತ್ತಿರುವ ಇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಆತ್ಮನು ಯಾರು? ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯು ಹೇಳಿದನು, ಅವನೇ ಅವುಗಳಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಡುಬರುತ್ತಾನೆ.
So again two things. One, instead of advising them that they must become selfless, not desire if they want Atman and so on, he doesn't say that. Immediately says, okay, in that case, this is Atman. That means Prajapati thinks it's a good reason to seek. A good reason to seek Atman is you want all your desires to be satisfied. Not all, maximal desires. So he has no problems with that. On the contrary. And second, basically, what is it that they do? You don't have to do any special effort to get this knowledge, to have this knowledge. No special effort at all. So you have to very hard, you have to meditate very hard, you have to do all kinds of kriyas and keep on doing that sadhana for 30 years. You don't have to do any of those things at all. And the third, which will become even more clear in next passages, it's seen in the eye. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you see it. When you look at yourself in water, you see it. Meaning what? It is accessible easily. It cannot be hidden. Not possible. If it is, this answer of Prajapati is falsehood and he is lying. Taking the discussion of yesterday, if Atman is in the body, Prajapati is lying. If he is hidden in the body, Prajapati is lying. If it is supernatural, if it is spiritual, if it is a mysterious hidden world, Prajapati is lying. Because it is there in this world. It can be seen in water and in mirror. It's accessible to the naked eye. So whatever Atman is, it must be subject to these conditions. This is the Atman which he says will satisfy all your desires. All the three words. Make you happy. It's not outside the world. It's inside the world. Easily accessible. Can be seen. So, Atman cannot be. Dehinosmin, Atman cannot be in your body. Inside the body, not possible. Embodied self, embodied Atman, not possible. If it is embodied, Atman is hidden in the body. Not possible. Or, your Acharya is right, Prajapati is lying. But unfortunately, your Acharyas take everything from Upanishad. So, And that is why it makes sense now. If it is so easily accessible, it is visible to the eye, it can be seen in the images of in water and in mirror and so on, it must be accessible to everybody, isn't it? Indians say every human being can be happy. If it's accessible to everybody, one person accessing it does not prevent the other person from accessing it, which means happiness of one person is not in conflict with happiness of other people. Whereas Christian, Jewish, Muslim culture tell you happiness of one person is in conflict with the happiness of others. Your idea of social justice comes from the assumption that happiness of one person conflicts with happiness of another person. Social justice depends on that. ಸಮಾಜ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಅಂತ ಬುರುಡೆ ಹೊಡಿತಾರಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, it comes from there, that idea. So social justice is either true or it's absolute falsehood, because if happiness is accessible to all human beings, social justice is rubbish. Because it requires that happiness of one conflicts with the happiness of the other. Finally, you don't have to do any special effort to get it, but you have to do some effort. You have to see, you have to search, yes. But you will get it. If you see and search, you'll get it. Nobody can stop it. Not even gods can stop it. Therefore, God's grace and mercy for salvation is not applicable. In India, we don't think that way. If you search, if you look, you'll find your Atman. Nobody can stop it. So happiness, God does not prevent you from being happy, whoever God is. Whereas Christianity, Judaism, your happiness depends upon God. In fact, the true happiness is union with God. Until then, you're only falsely happy, partially happy. You're basically unhappy.
Look at yourself in a cup of water, and then what you do not understand of the self, come and ask me. They looked at themselves in the cup of water. Prajapati asked them, what do you see? They replied, sir, we see ourselves as we are, even to the hairs and nails, a very picture. ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿದ ಪಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಆತ್ಮನ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ತಿಳಿಯುವುದಿಲ್ಲವೋ ಅದನ್ನು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿರಿ. ಅವರು ನೀರಿನ ಪಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡರು. ಅನಂತರ ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯನ್ನವರು ಕೇಳಿದರು. ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯವರನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದರು, ಏನನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತೀರಿ? ನಾವಿಬ್ಬರು ಈ ಸಮಗ್ರ ಶರೀರಗಳನ್ನು ರೋಮ ನಖಗಳವರೆಗೆ ಇರುವ ಪ್ರತಿಬಿಂಬವನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. Prajapati said to them, having adorned yourself well, put on your best clothes, and having cleaned yourselves, look at yourselves in the cup of water. They adorned themselves well, put on their best clothes, cleaned themselves, and then looked into the cup of water. Prajapati said to them, what do you see? ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯು ಹೇಳಿದನು, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಲಂಕೃತರಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಪರಿಷ್ಕೃತರಾಗಿ ನೀರಿನ ಪಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿರಿ. ಅವರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಲಂಕೃತರಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಪರಿಷ್ಕೃತರಾಗಿ ನೀರಿನ ಪಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡರು. ನೀವು ಏನನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತೀರಿ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿಯು ಅವರನ್ನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನಿಸಿದನು. They replied, just as we are ourselves, well adorned, well dressed and clean, so are these also well adorned, well dressed and clean. He said, that is the self, the immortal, the fearless, that is Brahman. They both went away with their hearts satisfied. ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದರು, ಭಗವಂತನೇ, ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಉತ್ತಮ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಪರಿಷ್ಕೃತರಾಗಿ ಇರುತ್ತೇವೆಯೋ ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಭಗವಂತನೇ ಈ ಎರಡು ಪ್ರತಿಬಿಂಬಗಳು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಉತ್ತಮ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಧರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಪರಿಷ್ಕೃತರಾಗಿ ಇವೆ. ಪ್ರಜಾಪತಿ, ಇವನೇ ಆತ್ಮನು, ಅದೇ ಅಮೃತವು, ಅಭಯವು, ಇದೇ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವು. ಅವರು ಶ್ರಾಂತ ಹೃದಯರಾಗಿ ಹೊರಟು ಹೋದರು.
That's enough for us. The rest of the story is also very interesting, but that's all we need. Well, this is what Atman is. Of course, you haven't understood what it is. That's a different issue. That's a question. What do you see? Because when you say, so suppose I say, look, and you look in this space. What do you see? You see so many different things. Yeah? So in that sense, they have seen many things in that. To find out what it is, what precisely is Atman, to understand it, to know it is a different issue, but they've seen it. Atman then must be at that level of accessibility. This is an absolute condition. This Brahma is not simply Atma, it's Brahma. That does not teach you what Brahma is, of course not. You don't have knowledge of what Brahma is by looking at it. And that's why, for instance, Indians make a distinction between Tattvadarshi and Jnani. Jnani is somebody who knows. Tattvadarshi is somebody who has only seen it. Jnani is higher than Tattvadarshi at that level. So the point is, Brahma must not possess these properties. Therefore, it is in this world easily seen, without great deal of effort, accessible, or seen if you don't like it, but seen. The emphasis is on seeing, but doesn't matter. Accessible. It is easily accessible in this world to all of us without any special effort. Whether we dress well or whether we don't dress ourselves well. Whatever we are, wherever we are, Brahma is accessible. You won't understand what Brahma is, but you're seeing it. What have you seen? You don't know. They also don't, so the story is all about. They think about it. What have we seen? And of course, Virochana says body. But that is actually not true, because he has not seen body, he has seen his body. So, he concludes wrongly, perhaps, says Prajapati in the beginning, that when they say it is body, are they wrong? But they didn't see the body actually. They could not have seen the body. They saw their own bodies. So Brahma, therefore they could not have seen Brahma can be body. That's what Virochana thinks. Wrong. Yeah, fine. But the point is, that's about knowledge. So, again, in case it cannot be hidden inside the body. Atma and Brahma cannot be hidden. Must be manifest, must be open, must be easily accessible, must require no special preparation. All these things are contained here. So anybody who tells you need to do 40 years of tapas to get Brahma, take it. Either Prajapati is lying or that man is lying. No 40 years. Of course, Bittika Samadha Bere Prashna. That is not required. Prajapati could have done it without the bloody Bittika. And greed just say Bittika Sari. Poor fellow will understand his problems also. This is Brahma. Not the properties of Brahma. Don't confuse it. But it's about our ability, we human beings, our ability to access it must be accessible, unconditionally accessible, easily accessible, present in the world. This is Brahma. You don't need a guru. You don't notice kripa of anybody. This is very clear. No, kripa is not necessary here. This is Brahma. And let me tell you, that's absolutely true. Don't ask me how I know it. I won't tell you that. And this, if you figure this out, on this one it can't, of course, but when you understand it, you will know that this is absolute truth. Prajapati is not lying at all. But it's also interesting, he doesn't tell them what it is. Doesn't give them knowledge. For that you have to work, you have to learn. Knowledge is something that emerges in you after your efforts. But he gives them access. He allows you to see. So accessing something is not knowledge or something. That obviously we know, yeah? In our daily life, we see something doesn't mean we understand it. You see a television does not mean you understand how television works, does it? Same thing. So just because you see Brahma does not mean you know what Brahma is. Now this is the way you look at your acharyas. They might have seen Brahma, but they don't know what it is. They can't be giving you knowledge. So don't use that as knowledge. Respect them as much as you want. Revere them, no problem. But don't confuse what they write with knowledge, because it's not. Knowledge is very clear conditions. Not everything, as I said, is knowledge. Only some claims are knowledge. Here is a question, and I'll end it with a question. You must have read this at least 10 times in your life, if not all of you, most of you. Tell me, I'm not giving interpretations, am I? I'm drawing your attention, I'm showing you what the sentences say. I'm not telling you the meaning of the sentences. Why is it you couldn't see it all these years? Even now, Sanskrit scholars try and fight with me. No, you see, Prajapati's Brahma is different from what Gita Brahma, Atman is. I said we'll discuss it later. But they don't know, they're talking rubbish and nonsense and contradictions. So, this is Brahma. That's it. You won't understand, you won't get knowledge by reading this alone. Of course not. Prajapati is not saying that either, that I'm going to give you knowledge. He'll show you. He'll give you access. You have the access. So what is true for Indra and Virochana is true for you. So tomorrow, when to shave, those of you men who do that, look at the mirror, remember, you're seeing Brahma. You're accessing Brahma. Be careful. If you're not careful, you'll cut yourself. That won't be Brahma, that'll be blood, and it hurts. Yeah. Happiness is an achievable goal for human beings. In Indian tradition. In the Western tradition, not Western, in Middle Eastern traditions, if you like, all of them, in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, human beings can never be happy. They'll be happy only in their union with God. That is, after they're dead. And if they get their union with God, there are all kinds of problems there. As against it, we say no. Happiness is either here on earth or nowhere. And that's why ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಕಾಣದ ಸ್ವರ್ಗಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಂಡ ನರಕವೇ ಲೇಸು ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದು? ಇದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೇಳೋದು. So we live on this earth, no? Anything that's fantastic should happen here. Not after you're dead, because nobody knows what the hell happens to you after death. So, you want to be happy, it must be here. Here and now, on this earth. This is India. Very pragmatic. Therefore, we are not spiritual mumbo-jumbo people, like they told us, yeah? With all these fakirs, rope climbing and disappearing, and this story about Indian fakirs, no? You ever heard of that? Yeah. Fakirs and kelilwa. India is known for its fakirs, I say. Rope climbing trick, hagga hattಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಯ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ದರಂತೆ, ಆ ಫಕೀರ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರಂತೆ. India was a land of fakirs, half-naked people. This is what the British told about us. Or modern day Delhi intellectuals, we are a land of God men.
ಬಲು ಈ ಸೈಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ ಭಾಗ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಂದ್ರನೇ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಿದ್ಯೆಯನ್ನು ಕಲಿಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವನಿನ್ನೇನು ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಅಂದರೆ ದೇವ್ರೇನು ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಅವರು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೋಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಪ್ಪ. What do you want me to say that?
ಕೃಪಾನಿಧಿ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಕೊಡು ಅಂತ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಟ್ ಸಿ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಕ್ಲೆವರ್. ಅವನು ಇಂದ್ರ, ಏ ನಾವು ಇಂದ್ರೇನ್ರಿ, ನಾವು ವಿಷ್ಣು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಮಹೇಶ್ವರನ ಇದು ಮಾಡೋರಿ, ಇಂದ್ರ ಏನು ಲಡ್ಕ ಅಂತ ತೇರಿಕೆ ಇಂದ್ರ ನೀವು ಪಳೆಗಾರ್ಥ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಇಂದ್ರ ನೀವಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ವೇದಗಳು ಓದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಂದ್ರ ಅಗ್ನಿ ಅಂತ, ಅಗ್ನಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈಗಲೂ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಹೋಮ ಗೀಮ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಗ್ನಿ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಂದ್ರಯೇ ಯಾಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಥನೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಒಂದು ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಎವ್ರಿ 1000 years ನ್ಯೂ ಇಂದ್ರ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇಂದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒದ್ದಾಕಿ ಬೇರೆ ಹೊಸ ಇಂದ್ರಗಳು ಬಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂದ್ರಂಗೆ ಅಂತ ಠೇವಣಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅವ್ನು ಪಾಪ. ಅವ್ನು ಋಗ್ವೇದ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸಖತ್ತು ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಇವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಷನ್, ತುಂಬ ಇಂದ್ರಗಳು ಬಂದರೆ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಇಂದ್ರನ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರೇನ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಯಾವನು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಮಾರಿಯಮ್ಮಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಶನಿ ದೇವತೆಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇಂದ್ರಂಗೆ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಪಾಪ ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ಸೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ right. Any questions? I suggest we take a break now, have a lunch. Think about it.